Their prevalence in these diseases like breast cancer, heart disease, diabetes, HIV, and that's why I'm here with a medical practitioner, Mr. Job. He'll be telling us how we can control these diseases in case we have them, manage them, and also prevent these diseases. Okay, let's start with breast cancer. Mr. Job, how can we control or manage or prevent this disease from affecting our health?
Right. Firstly, I want to appreciate you for having me here today. All right. So, we could. It's very obvious that breast cancer is one of the most deadly diseases we have, and it's actually rampaging the society. Specifically, is women related. Okay. Now, the cancer in general has a lot of root causes. In general, cancer can be the root causes or the factors could be biological. It could be from, I mean, biological means you could get it from genetic. It could be genetic. If there's cancer in your family or in your lineage, that means it's already encoded in the gene. So it could be passed down. That's why I think that is one of the major cases women or the causes why women have that breast cancer. Secondly, we can also get cancer generally from chemicals. Yes, you can get them from chemicals. So most chemicals are very, very carcinogenic in nature. So seeing a chemical that okay, this is carcinogenic, it's actually telling you that you know a naked or an open contact with that chemical can pose you to have cancer. And also some things like rays, X-rays, even the sun rays too. They pose a lot of things. But God has been so wonderful in the sense that God actually gave us some cells in our body that could fight these cancers, because basically the cancer cells cannot be identified on their own in order to be, to be dealt with. Cancer, in general, in the definition, is actually a malignant growth of tumor. It could be in any of tumor is actually the cells actually that actually grow out, and why it's called malignant is because it leads to death. Because we have tumor could be of benign or malignant. Benign is not actually deadly. It's kind of, while malignant means it is what deadly. It could lead to death. So, and it has been, of course, it has been one of the ravaging diseases in this our time pertaining to women. And like I said, I listed a few causes of this cancer. I said biological, it could be chemical, and also it could be from radioactive rays, and also it could be from foods. For instance, most of these bad foods that are rotten, that are already dead, they're not actually good. They actually, have carcinogenic compounds in them. And most of these carcinogenic compounds are aromatic in nature, you understand? So when this food, for instance, aflatoxin foods, is actually a poison. They are basically poisons. They are basically poisons. You could get them from granite. A spoiled granite is actually poisonous. Even tomatoes. That's why it is very. We always advise our patients, whatever you take in, whatever you eat, be mindful of it. You understand? Because apart from breast cancer alone, it can also lead to, there are different ways. Cancer, you can have cancer of the liver, pancreas. You understand? Skin. So it could tell you, that's to tell you that also rubbing of your cream can also affect you and cause you what, cancer. So now basically talking about breast cancer is actually malignant growth of tumor in the breast of the women. So this it's actually whereby there's a condition whereby there's a growth in the breast of the women. So how could this be detected? It is very simple. There are times that women could have that growth. If you feel any growth in form of lumps in your breast, it is advisable you go for someone to do or to check you up. Like you can meet a random guy. If you're not sure of touching your breast, you can meet a random guy to help you palpate. It's called palpation. You understand? To help you and then touch it. Somebody you trust. Somebody you trust. You understand? Help you palpate. So it's very 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 vital. Yes, we know that we are trying to maintain, we are trying to eradicate decadence, but same time this is health stuff. In health stuff we are not looking at I'm shy and we just want to know the cause. We know that you're having this thing less, because one thing about cancer, if cancer is handled or is detected very 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 fast and early, you stand a high chance of getting cured before it metastasize into other things, because what we call metastasis. So you don't allow it to spread. Once it is being detected in a particular location early, then it can be cured. So that's why we go for say meet somebody that could help you palpate that. It could be a doctor. It could be a doctor. Doctor will help you palpate, and also, like I said, if you observe any growth or lump, well, I can use the word growth for the common man, lump, anything, any swelling you observe, immediately see a doctor. See a doctor immediately. Do not let it, stay long, because the longer it stays, the least chance you have for survival. So that is it about breast cancer.
Much, Mr. Job. So can we talk about diabetes?
Diabetes is actually a metabolic disease. It's a metabolic disease. It's a disease whereby the sugar level is not being able to be regulated by the body. You see, everything God created in the body has its own regulation. You understand? There's a time, just like in life, the Bible says there's a time for everything. You understand? So that's how God made it in the human body. There's always a time for everything. When you eat, the sugar level goes up. It rises. Once it rises beyond what the body can do, what is supposed to be in the body stream, or what the body can do. So what the body does, there's a signal that is sent. In medicine they have what they call negative feedback loop and positive feedback loops. These are signals that are sent. So they will now be sent from around the body, from the brain also down to the liver, to the pancreas, and then hormones are being released. So when these hormones are released, what happens? It is now for the body to body cells and tissues to take up sugar that is already in the bloodstream. And once those sugars are being taken up by these organs that need this sugar, because whether you like it or not, your brain needs sugar. In fact, the brain is the organ that makes use of the highest amount of sugar. If you start having hypoglycemia, that is low sugar level, you start feeling weak and dizzy. So the brain takes its own amount, the liver stores for future use, then the muscle takes, and other cells take for not just for energy, because sugar gives us energy basically, but also sugar is used for synthesis of other things. Also for genetic synthesis. Your DNA is made of sugar, ribose. You understand? So these are things that they make use of it. But now, in a situation whereby your body these cells are not being able to uptake this sugar, to take up this sugar for their roles, to use them to play their roles, that is where diabetes now comes into play. That's why I said it's a metabolic stuff, because metabolism involves anabolism and catabolism, breaking down and also synthesis, building up. So that is what now happens. So in this case, a lot of people have this disease. Diabetes also is genetic. It is genetic in nature. Also, of course, there are different kinds of diabetes. We have type 1, which is insulin dependent diabetes. That is diabetes whereby your insulin, the pancreas is being damaged, so insulin is not being able to be released. You understand? Or to be synthesized, because it is the pancreas that does the synthesis of insulin in order to release it in your body, the beta cells of the Langerhans. So, but aside that, the second type of diabetes we have is type 2, which is insulin independent. This is the commonest, of course, because people that are obese, fat people, always have this kind of stuff, in the sense that because they have fat, the body, this help to inhibit insulin. This one is that your body is secreting insulin, but in this case, why the insulin is present in your bloodstream, it is not being sensitive by these cells. It's not being noticed that this thing is present. You understand? So cells are not being able to take up sugar, by that they're not being able to, in other words, they're not being able to receive signal that insulin is here, let's do what we are supposed to do. So instead, the body is now going another way. So that is another thing. Then also we have gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes actually occurs in pregnant women. Yes, you see, that's why for pregnant women when they go for checkup, antenatal checkups, what happens is that they always go for, okay, they always check them, okay, let's check her sugar level, let's check her blood sugar level, let's check her urinalysis, because all those things are very, very vital. Because why? The placenta inhibits the uptake of insulin in the body for pregnant women. So that is why these are the three categories of diabetes. So now, like I was saying, how is diabetes? Like I said, firstly, it is genetic. Secondly, your diet affects it. Your diet can affect you having, or can make you to have diabetes. Diet in the sense that it's not just taking sugar excessively. Alcohol can also cause you to have diabetes, because you start having some kind of, in the body there's what they call alkalinosis and also acidosis. All those things, they come up in this. Once you are taking too much of alcohol, and then before you know, there's what the accumulation of all these things, and of course they are acidic in nature. So it can alter your blood pH, all those things. So that's what happens. Then also, like I said, one of the major rules, your lifestyle. People that are fat always are at a higher risk of having diabetes. That's why it is advised you do exercise. Watch your diet. Watch what you eat. You don't take too much of fatty foods. Don't take too much of sugary food or sweet foods. Then also, when you eat good meals, rich meals that help to keep your body in a very good state. So, like I said, these cancer cells, they love sugar. So starvation is also a means of survival. Just that. So I know it's before, like somebody will be like, so as they're hungry now, now means of survival. But that's just a fact, because it plays a, I mean, it goes a long way. Somebody that is diabetic, the doctors will also advise you while you're on your drugs, because they place you on anti-diabetic drugs. You also still need to starve while you do exercise. Your exercise is burning off, fats, unnecessary fats, and also burning off sugar. You understand? Those excessive sugar in your body, then also keeping you in good shape. So these also help for good blood circulation. Exercise plays a major role. It helps to keep your brain agile. Keeps it, because once there's good blood circulation goes well to your heart. It also goes well to your brain. So you always stand at a very low risk of having either any brain disease or heart problem, or also diabetes. Thank you.
So can we talk about blood pressure?
Right. Blood pressure is actually a measurement of the force, of the arterial force, which the blood exerts in the arterial wall of the blood system. You understand? So, in other words, it is like the amount of force, the pressure, it exerts. So, blood pressure is a normal thing. Is a part of the vitals of the human. Everybody has blood pressure. Everybody has pulse. Everybody has, temperature. You understand? But now the issue people have is, you know, which is common, is hypertension, high blood pressure. You know, there's a specific range in which, your blood pressure is supposed to be. It's always measured in two parameters. There's a systolic and diastolic. That's why you hear somebody say, I have 110/80, I have 100/70. It's systolic and also diastolic. The up one is systolic, the down one is diastolic. So it is it's the issue of, for a male and female, their blood pressure is not the same actually. God actually has these distinctive features amongst sex, that's the male and female gender. So for women, basically their blood pressure is always from, for the systolic, it's always from 100 to 110. But that doesn't mean if they're having a blood pressure of 120 for the systolic, it's not still good. It's still good. But we are talking about, based on statistics, the ideal they say. For men, it's always from that 110 to 120. You understand? Then for the diastolic for women, it's always from 60 to 65 or 70. For men, it's always from 65 to 75 or 80. But in other words, there are some things that could raise your blood pressure from the normal range. Number one, common things like exercise. If you just finished a very rigorous exercise, your blood pressure could rise. But that doesn't mean that it will make you to attain hypertension. No, it wouldn't. It will only raise it up a bit. Now, raising it up a bit in a normal sense for there to be what? A very good flow of blood. Because blood actually is a very, very vital and essential mixture and constituent. It contains a lot of things. Just like what they say in a common parlance that blood is life. Indeed, it is life. You understand? So blood is very, very vital. So where there is a free flow of blood, your body tissues will receive a lot of things they need. Oxygen, food, nutrients, and also it will take out wastes from your body. For instance, gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide in the blood, they are actually in liquid form, which is when they now get to your lungs, they are being expelled and some they are being inhaled in form of gases. But in your bloodstream, they are actually in that dissolved gaseous form. So it is very, very vital. So exercise can level up. That's why for people that have low blood pressure, hypotension, what happens? They tell them go and do exercise. They can tell them to start taking salt. The thing is that salt contains table salt is sodium chloride. So sodium helps to elevate the blood pressure. But ideally they'll tell you do exercise. Do exercise so that because if you're having hypotension, you can stand the risk of dying. You can just die because enough blood won't be flowing to your brain and also to your heart. So imagine now your brain is being starved of blood. It is being starved of food nutrients and also oxygen. Therefore means that some part will die. You understand? Now in the sense of hypertension, hypertension is actually a deadly killer too. It is one of the commonest diseases that is ravaging. Now, what makes you want to have high blood pressure? Like I said, I mentioned exercise. Exercise will always keep it at a normal distance. It won't take it to the hypertension level. But also, for the hypertension level, what will make it rise is number one, your food. High cholesterol foods can also cause hypertension. When you take too much of fatty and oily food, what happens? It will block arteries. It will narrow those arteries. It's what we call atherosclerosis. Once it narrows those arteries, the blood pressure becomes a problem. So what now happens? There won't be good flow of blood. So it can lead to myocardial infarction. They can lead to atherosclerosis, like I said, and also it can lead to stroke. A lot of people having blood pressure, high blood pressure, or a lot of people having stroke rather as a result of high blood pressure. Because stroke is of two types. We have ischemic stroke. You understand? We have ischemic stroke and we have hemorrhagic stroke. So these things, high blood pressure can also lead to stroke. So now, what can also cause this kind of thing apart from the food? Stress, not having good rest. When you're stressed up, what happens? There's what they call cortisol hormones. Cortisol hormones are actually stress hormones. Those hormones start rising in your bloodstream. Once they start rising in your bloodstream, some organs are being from the adrenal glands. So what happens? Adrenal glands, of course, in basic biology, you can tell that it's actually a gland that for fight and flight, the hormone for fight and flight. So once it just releases that, if you see you are gunshot now, you don't leave me run. So imagine that kind of scenario. You find out that your heartbeat rises, blood pressure can rise beyond the normal. So in that case, when stressed, because you're already stressed, cortisol hormones are really related. So when you're already stressed, this thing is rising, causing what? High blood pressure. So that is what now happens. So that's why we advise that people should always have good amount of rest and also eat well. You don't eat anyhow. Eat well. Your food, your your activity affects your health. So apart from that, there are also blood pressure can there are some kind of genetic heart diseases that are genetic that could cause what blood pressure also. Right. Thank you.
And there are some myths. I'm talking about misconception that we do have concerning our health. So I would want you to verify these misconceptions. Like when you're treating malaria, for example, should treat typhoid. So malaria and typhoid should always go together. So can you help us mention these myths and also help us verify these myths?
Okay.